Hello there! Today I am going to talk about my song Been Too Long, Let's Make a Plan, off the album Parting Ways. Parting Ways is all about grief and friendship, and I wanted to give people language to try and reconnect with friends. I've talked about this a bit on in the songs on this record and in these videos that I've been doing about a record like this needs to have function. It can't just be look how sad I am. And this is the most functional of all the songs. I am quite an emotional guy, right? And most of my friends are the same. And so it's not that difficult for us to find language to be able to check in with one another and make sure that we're okay. It's the kind of thing that we do regularly. But not everybody does. So what I wanted to do was create a phrase, like a mantra, that I could give to people for them to just use that. They could use that language and they could send it. At one point when I was thinking about sort of making this more of a sort of theatre show, which I'm not going to do, don't worry. I was really into the idea of having like postcards that just said, "It's been too long, let's make a plan," and had a stamp on the back, and you could just send them to anybody you want, like at the gig. But that sort of phrase I really wanted to be repeated loads and loads and loads of times. The phrase itself, we're in E. I had this kind of, this quite emotive chord progression I thought. And originally, it was there. Been too long, let's make a plan. It's been too long. So that's me singing an E. I'm singing note 1, right? And there's something about it that felt way too confident. Note 1 is always quite a confident note, right? Because it's home. That's what note 1 is. So I wanted to play around with, can I find a more interesting way of doing that? And I thought about the idea of making a more shapely melody. But then I was like, well, because as soon as I make it like really melodic and really sung, for want of a better word, it would be less conversational. The whole point is it's got to be conversational, right? So I tried something that I've tried in other songs of mine, which is I basically take all the characterful notes and the confident notes and make them characterful, right? So I changed all my 1s to 2s. Note 2, it's a real question mark of a note, right? Goes like this. So it sounds like this now. It's been too long, let's make a plan. It's been too long, let's make a plan. And there's something about that note too, it's been too long, that makes me feel like I'm not breathing. It makes me feel like I'm sitting on a breath. It's been too long. And there's something that you find as a performer and as a songwriter, some things just change the temperature in a room, right? Be it a room where there's an audience, or be it a room, even just then playing it, I could feel my heart rate slowing, like it was like, oh, okay. And it did everything I needed it to do. So I came up with that phrase, and then it was like, right, well, why don't I make the verses, like actively in the verses, not say anything that I wouldn't say in a text message. So no figurative language, no beautiful poetry, no sneaky wordplay, right? It's just gonna be a text message. That's the whole point, right? Again, this idea of giving people language that they can just use to then reconnect with people. Last time we had such a good time, and this time won't be anything new. Maybe we could catch up soon. There are things that I just message someone on. That's nothing unusual. And in fact, when I was writing this song, I looked through the messages to my friend Lee, who passed away, who this song was kind of inspired by, and found bits of phrases. And things like, there's the one about the film, where is it? It's on here somewhere. This is the page I wrote it on, I should add. Okay, so look, here's a great example. One of the lines I kicked around for this was, let's paint our diary with good intentions. Right? That's a perfectly good line, but it doesn't do the job. That's too clever. Yeah? Paint diaries. Yeah. When are you free? When are you free? I could come to you or you could come to me. Like, big circled one. That was one that was straight out of a text message that we'd sent to one another. There was the one about the film. Haven't got around to that film yet. I listened to that record you sent me last week, but I haven't got around to that film. This is how people talk to one another, right? well, it's certainly how I talked to Lee and how I talked to most of my friends. So I had this kind of conceptual idea that all the song was going to just be that. And the way that I could make it mantra-like was to repeat that phrase as many times as I could. And the only way you can legitimize that level of repetition in a song without people getting bored of it is to continually put it in different like musical backdrops. And in this song, I knew early days that the intensity graph, which is something I think about a lot, was going to be an upward spike. So it's going to start small and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to end with just that one phrase. So I started playing around with lots of cool production stuff on this one. There's an arpeggiator that's going to go, it's going this absolutely crazy at the end, and there's a big distorted synth part at the end. The bit where it really clicked together as a production, this song, weirdly, was watching the film Top Gun Maverick. In Top Gun Maverick, there's lots of use of sweeping strings, accompanied, that are very human sounding, right? Accompanied by incredibly synthetic arpeggiated bass that goes. I love arpeggiators, right? I am a big fan. Basically, what an arpeggiator does is it kind of takes a note like that, but it filters it. So I'm not going. It filters it in and out on the beat, and it gives it this kind of odd effect that's very synthetic but very rhythmic. And also you can affect it as it's going along. So instead of it going, it can go, and you get this like underscored like energy to it. And I remember sitting watching Top Gun Maverick. It's a great film, by the way. Going, that will work. That will work. I can put that underneath that. So we get this incredibly. Yeah, it's a terrible impression, but you get the idea. And once I had that, and I understood that the song was about this relationship between the synthetic and the human, I also quite like the digitalness, which is probably not a word, but the digitalness of the that synth bass sound having something to do with digital communication. It sort of felt like it immediately made sense when I put it all together. It was like, oh, right, okay, that all fits together really, really neatly. So yeah, that was the song. Again, not many sections in this song. I think when I'm writing songs that have a very specific function, that then dictates structure more than anything else. And I knew, because I just wanted to repeat that phrase loads and loads of times, that I had to be a little bit canny about how I used it. I almost did what I do in We Don't Care About the Rain, where I essentially sing the same melody, but reharmonise it, put different chords underneath it. But that wasn't going to work with this melody because it's not a melody. It's just one note, right? I mean, it is a melody, but you know what I mean. You wouldn't recognise it as a repetition because people recognise shape, I think, more than they recognise pitch. So yeah, I couldn't do that. So I just had to control it with arrangement and the level at which the intensity graph was shifting. On the subject of shifting, my dog was just asleep underneath my legs and I was just woken up. Good morning, Mums. Do you want to come up? You don't want to come up. Anyway, we digress. But yes, so that is some info on the song. It's been too long, let's make a plan. Off she goes. The other thing I'll say about this song, one of my favourite experiences singing this song, I've done this song a few times where I use all the digital stuff, like I use Ableton to drop in the and all that kind of stuff. And at a show I did a while ago, and I've done it 3 or 4 times now, I will ask the audience to text, to write in their phone the phrase, "It's been too long, let's make a plan," and then text it whilst I'm playing the song to a mate they want to reconnect with, right? And I've done that a couple of times, and on both occasions someone's come up to me after the show and gone, "Oh, I got a response like before the song was over," and I love that. Like, I mean, that is my favourite kind of songwriting, right? I love it. It's really functional. It's a lovely thing, and the idea that I could write something that could bring people together is amazing, right? It's the reason why we do this. But yeah, I will say the downside of it is it does mean that for the first verse everyone's just got their head in their phone. But, you know, hey, listen, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Swings and roundabouts. But yeah, so there you go. There's some information about my tune, Been Too Long, Let's Make a Plan. Yeah, you can hear it on Spotify, Apple Music, all the places where you can hear music. So enjoy that, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye! It's been too long, let's make